We're going to hear from the male perspective on how they feel about natural hair versus weaves versus perms. Now, I want you gentlemen to give it to me point blank, real. How do y'all feel about natural hair, weaves, and perms? Like, what is y'all personal preferences on that?
My personal preference is that I absolutely dislike weave. I love women who actually take time out to take care of their natural hair, whether if it's a fro, whether if it's dreads, whether if it's twists, whether if you use the pressing comb. Like, I absolutely think that that's one of the most beautiful things that a African American woman can do with her hair, is actually take care of her genuine natural hair that she was born with and wear it in all of its glory.
Now, when you say natural hair, do you mean like the afro, or do you say natural hair in regards to just real hair like the perm?
Real hair.
Real hair.
Just real hair.
Real hair. So what is your personal preference? Do you like the afro?
I really don't have a personal preference as far as like how she wears her hair. I just don't like weave. And the reason why I don't like weave, you can't touch it, you can't pull it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't put your hand through it. If you do put your hand through it, you might skip
a
on a track,
yeah.
or, you know, you might pull out something, or, you know. So, yeah.
And how do you feel?
I tend to, first of all, I like a wide variety of different things. However, with women in general, I find that I'm most attracted to women who know how to take care of their natural selves. And so me, I'm pretty much kind of anti a whole lot of things. I like things that compliment but not overtake you.
Okay.
So I like women who know how to wear makeup that compliments them, but it's not caked up to the point where it's a whole different person when you take it off.
Right.
I like women who know how to wear their hair, and I do love natural hair. I have a preference for natural hair, for women who like to wear their locks, or women who like to wear their afros or their twists or whatever the case may be, a wide variety of hairstyles. However, I'm not gonna 100% say that I don't like women who wear weave, because if that weave compliments her in a certain way, I do like that. But I like it when it compliments and not overtakes.
So it basically, if it looks good, then I'm okay with it.
If it looks good, then I'm okay with it, but I do prefer the natural hairstyle.
You do prefer
because
the natural.
I do believe there's a lot of beauty that African American women or black women or even African women who come to America, upon assimilation to American culture and enculturation, they forget a lot about the natural things they already possess.
Oh.
That's one of my preferences.
I like that, Derek. Just, it doesn't really matter as long as it looks good. So for Broderick, that brings me to you. If you meet a girl, I'm talking about, she is fine, has all the characteristics, she's intelligent, everything, and she has a weave, would you still talk to her?
I would talk to her. Like what he said, if it does not consume you, then I can maybe work with you and actually find out a little bit deeper of, you know, why are you wearing this weave, you know?
And he brings up a good point, though, because you have a lot of people who equate themselves with what they have on.
Right.
And I understand you like your hairstyles or whatever, but when you become dependent on it to help identify who you are,
That's a problem.
I tend to have a problem with that.
So do you think in the African American culture, are women more dependent on their hair?
You know, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I do believe that our women are very dependent on their hair, because I think that with hair, even though hair is not directly a part of your identity, it does have an indirect effect on your identity and how you carry yourself, or I guess your character as a woman, how you exhibit your character as a woman. Look at it as if, you know, some ladies that do wear weave, by and large, when I think of a woman that wear a weave, I automatically kind of attribute with that a diva. And that might not necessarily be true, but because that's what we see, by and large, within the majority, that's what we say. But whereas when I think of a woman that takes time out to take care of her natural hair and present her natural self, I see a woman that is secure within herself. And that might not necessarily be true either. Look at the story with School Days, Good and Bad Hair. Those sisters, they had some that wore, you know, the natural hair, and there were some that wore the weaves, and, you know, whether or not if it was straight or whatever. But even within that movie, we got a chance to see a dichotomy between the two.
Right.
There were some girls that were actually lost within the natural look, like it actually consumed them. And there were some that were actually lost in the falsified look as well. So I think that it's kind of like a mixture between the two. You just have to know who you are and know what you like.
Honestly, to say, because I know a lot of hairdressers, and I do know white women who get weave. But they get it to make their own hair look thicker, or they get it because their hair isn't growing fast enough for them, and so it's not just black women that get weave. There are a lot of different women who get weave. I've seen Asian with weave. I've seen white women with weave. They may have different purposes for it, but it's not just that black women alone are using part of their hair to help define who they are, or they become so accustomed to a certain type of style or whatever the culture perpetuates. But I think it's a whole female issue with the racial component, given the fact that we're only 12, well, the census says we're only 12% of the population.
Wow.
But it's not to say that some of the things that we use in our population doesn't filter over or smudge over into other cultures, because there are other cultures who do use weave besides black women. It's not just black women.
So if y'all see a woman that has extremely long hair, do you automatically assume that it's weave?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No, I know you got Eritreans with very long hair, Ethiopians with very long hair. My niece is black and Hispanic. She has her own very long hair. And so, no, I don't automatically assume, but I was raised with a house full of women, so I could tell from a distance.
Exactly.
You can tell from the distance.
A distance.
So what do y'all think about those girls that have the weaves that like hit pretty much right above, the buttocks? What do y'all think about those?
Really, sister? That's what I say to myself when I see that from a distance. Really, sister? Really?
What do you think that says about her as a woman?
For me, whenever I see that, I automatically think, well, is there some insecurity there? What is the underlying thing there?
Do you think she's hiding
Exactly.
behind the weave? What do you think, Derek?
Well, I don't know. I've seen a couple women do it. I think it's a little extra. When I very first got down here, I'm from Seattle, and so I didn't see it as in abundance down here. Like, people love hair. They love their hair down here in Atlanta.
Yeah,
they do.
They do.
And so they have like I saw a whole wide variety of styles. And I was just like, I thought it was really, really extra. I really didn't like it. I couldn't stand it. But upon talking to people, it's style, it's what's the trend at the moment, it really does become part of their identity down here. They love to do stuff with their hair. So at first I didn't like it at all. Now I'm more tolerable of it. But when I see stuff down to the butt crack of an individual,
You think that's just a bit extra?
I think it's a little extra, but I kind of wonder what's theirs and what's not. But I don't necessarily say that's ugly. I'm just like, wow, it's a little extra for me. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Y'all both have very good points of view. Audience, please give them a round of applause. This concludes our male segment of natural hair versus weaves versus perms. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss